Welcome to 30 Days on the High Street. News and stories from Matthew's House as it seeks to deliver hope through hospitality to the heart of the city.
Hi, I'm Tom from Matthew's House. I am the project manager.
Hi, I'm Ellie and I'm the project coordinator at Matthew's House.
Hi, I'm Robin and I am on the leadership team at Matthew's House. And I want to, on behalf of the three of us, give you a warm welcome to the first episode of 30 Days on the High Street, which is our kind of video update of news and developments and stories of the work of Matthew's House, which seeks to deliver hospitality and hope in the heart of the city. And we've been doing that for about 3 years. And this is our first episode, as I say, of a new way of delivering some of those news and developments and stories. But what we're going to do today, well, first of all, guys, I want to lay down a ground rule. I've got a little timer here. It's a 10-minute timer. So we're going to go a maximum of 10 minutes. That's the plan. But what we're also going to do today is we're not going to look at the work of Matthew's House particularly. What we're going to focus in on the Swansea Together collaboration, which, depending on when you're viewing this video, many of you will view it during the coronavirus outbreak during 2020. But that's the time we're recording this. And Swansea Together is a collaboration during that period. But I'm going to now hand over to Tom to tell us in more detail, what is Swansea Together?
Hello. So Swansea Together is, like Robin said, it's a collaboration of groups, charities, companies, and the local council, pooling all the resources, volunteers, and everyone together to ensure that we can still feed the most vulnerable in this city. Every single day at the moment, we've got teams of volunteers who are making food in 5 different locations across the city, as well as at Matthew's House. And with the support of council drivers and volunteer drivers, we are making sure that we are delivering them to hostels, B&Bs, and places that house people coming in off the street. So most people in the city that are vulnerably housed are getting the food from us. So yes, that's Swansea Together. It's a great group of people, and it is basically the city, Swansea, working together to make sure and do our very best that no one is forgotten. How's that, Robin?
Great. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you. And just before I go over to Ellie for some stats on what's been achieved to date, but just Tom, just clarify for me, why do these guys need hot food delivered to their location? Why can't we just provide them with ingredients or something like that and then make it themselves? What's unique about this? I mean, obviously the guys on the streets, that's obvious, but with the hostels and the B&Bs, why is that necessary during this time?
It's completely necessary. Some people in the hostels and B&Bs have nothing but 4 walls and a toilet, a bed, and maybe a kettle if they're lucky. Yeah. The facilities and the places they're living in, they just don't have that ability to store food, to prepare food. So they could be living on crisps. We just don't know. So we knew that with this virus, many of them who are vulnerably housed are vulnerable. And if they're hungry too, if they did get the virus, then they'd struggle even more to cope through it. So that's the main reason we want to cook it, because it could be their only hot meal of the day. And with hostels as well, there's a lot of staff that are on the front line in hostels, many at risk, so staff teams are decreased. Many have had symptoms and had to isolate in that as well. So there's some hostels where we deliver to every day, and there's some hostels that we help them with a little bit of our food stocks once a week so that they can work together and provide for each other.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Tom. Now, I'm going to hand over to Ellie. Before I do, many people won't realise Tom and Ellie have been instrumental in the leading of Swansea Together, and Ellie has very much been on the front line with the volunteers. So Ellie, you're best placed to give us some stats of what's been achieved to date through this collaboration.
Yeah, so at the moment, actually, it's 11:45. So at the moment, food is being driven from Mecca Bingo and from the Shared Plate in Mumbles down to all the B&Bs and hostels, of which there are about, let me just check, there are 17 locations that we're delivering to every week at the moment. So they'll be getting their food at the moment, they'll be unpacking it and eating it. Got 17 locations, and it's about 150 to 170 people every day. The numbers do change, but that's the general sort of area that we're working with. And then at the moment, we have now served 4,090 food parcels in the sort of 3 to 4 weeks that we've been doing it. So it's a huge operation, a huge network of people. It's taken over 80 volunteers currently. That includes drivers, cooks, people sat at home organising things, making phone calls, and then 32 organisations to date. And I mean, that's not including the numbers of businesses that have donated food and supplies, and then the numbers of individuals that are donating money every single day as well. So it's a huge number of people, huge number of meals. But then also in terms of sort of stories on the ground as well, I just thought I'd share a little story that I have from Matthew's House just a few days ago. So one of the difficulties that we've had has been particularly being, like Robin said at the beginning, a hub in the heart of the city. We've got a huge number of guests that normally come to Matthew's House, not just for food, but for friendship and comfort and just all-round support. So we've been getting a lot of people coming up to the gate, our regular guests, and asking for help and guidance. And we had one guest come to the gate the other day, and it kind of hit home that it's not just a food service that we've lost, it's levels of support. And Robin always says that we're not a soup kitchen, and this story kind of highlighted that to me. So the guests said they were really struggling. They had their own flat, so they're not in temporary accommodation. They weren't able to access any kind of Roger's just walked in. So totally.
So we're gonna carry on there for a minute. Then
So
we're trying to film this for the first time. It's quite funny. One of our volunteers has just walked in. Ellie, press on. We'll go on without it. We'll go on without changing. Press on, and we'll carry on. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this particular guest basically said that they had access to food banks. They didn't have access to any kind of storage facilities for their food or any way to cook it, but they did have access to food banks. But they didn't really want tin food anymore, and they were really missing the sort of hot, nutritious meals that our volunteers are so used to providing at Matthew's House. Not just a bowl of soup or something from a can, but something that we really sort of put our heart and soul into. And that's kind of what Matthew's House is all about. It's giving people hope. And that kind of hit home for me. So we were able to give that person a few containers of the food that we prepared that day, so that they could enjoy the kind of Matt's Cafe style meals that they're used to, and a few bits and pieces to tide them over until they were getting paid the following week.
Brilliant, fantastic. And it reminds me, actually, I know that we've delivered some cakes. We've obviously taken lots and lots of measures for PPE and social distancing and protection of our volunteers, and also even around food hygiene, but we've been able to deliver cakes as part of those meals. And I know that one volunteer has been wrapping their cakes and drawing a rainbow in it, and a rainbow on it, sorry, and each one it says, "You are not alone." And I can imagine there are people in hostels and B&Bs and on the streets at the moment who are getting a message of hope. They're getting spoken to through that one act of love and hospitality. It must be really powerful. And just to hear your story again of that opportunity to give people hope is huge at this time. So we're now going to go over to Tom. Is there anything more you want to share on it, Tom, in particular, any story that, or anything particularly maybe that you've learned during this period that makes you think, oh, well, we'll take this after the crisis, this will be valuable for us?
Yeah. So first, quickly, just to mention that actually I realised how important the service that we provide is for so many. So for the first 3 weeks, I was alongside Ellie, setting the teams up, setting the place up, and things like that. But realising that actually I'm at risk. My little boy, who's 18 months old, and my mum are all at risk. So every time I go there, I'm not just putting myself on the front line, but I'm also putting them on the front line as well. So I've had to, that's why I'm meeting from home today. But yeah, it's when I was down there, just seeing the people like reach over and through the gate, just struggling and desperate in some cases, and being able because we've been so blessed with support and friends of Matthew's House and all people like that, being able to actually meet that need and give that person that little bit of hope needed to get to that next payday. It's just, you feel, you know that actually it matters. It really, really matters. Hope really matters. And something I've learned through this whole process is we've got quite a lean structure team. You know, me and Ellie are employed as well as volunteer. Robin is a volunteer. Louisa in the leadership team is a volunteer. And we have 80, 90 other volunteers that support us. But our leadership and our setup and things like that, it's lean. And what that's taught me is actually it's been really, really effective when we've needed to adapt and we've needed to meet a need that has come up so quickly, like the coronavirus. And I think nurturing that and holding on to that is important as we go forward. I know within moments of meeting the NHS and other groups and stuff around the Swansea, putting Swansea Together, together. Yeah, I'm looking at time, I'm nearly finished. Swansea Together. We knew that we needed kind of like a restricted fund so people could donate towards to support it. We were able to do that in minutes. And to start it off knowing that we needed to get PPE ordered, to look after our volunteers, to do everything as the best we possibly can. We transferred some funds, several £1,000s from our reserve fund of Matthew's House to go towards this collaboration of Swansea Together. And that was so helpful, being lean, having quality people part of every part of Matthew's House. And I know that's something to nurture, that's something to develop, something to grow, and something to look after going forward.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, we're going to come to the end now of the first episode of 30 Days on the High Street. I hope you found that encouraging and helpful, maybe giving you a bit of hope as well. We've done quite well. We only had one interruption. When we've operated as Matthew's House for the past 3 years, life is full of interruptions. The coronavirus is an interruption. So for us just to do this and have one interruption is amazing. But just before we go, I just thought I'd finish with this then, guys. And this is an encouragement to you, but also to anybody watching who's played their part in particular in supporting or encouraging Matthew's House. 5 years to the day, honestly. I've got a letter on my screen in front of me now, and it's a letter that was written to the Evening Post when Matthew's House was closed. It wasn't in existence. The building we're using was closed. It'd been closed for 18 months, and somebody'd written in to the papers saying that the homeless in the city were going to suffer, and wasn't there a rich person who could keep this centre open? Well, no rich people appeared, but what did appear was the Hill Church purchased the building, and they purchased it not because of one rich person, but rather because lots of people came together to purchase the building. And then from that, the idea of Matthew's House was born. And Matthew's House came about not because of one rich person, but because of hundreds of people and businesses and organisations who came together to say, we're going to make a difference in this city. And of course, we're seeing that even now. It's not about one individual. It's about a group of people saying, we're going to make a difference. We are going to bring hope through the sheer power of hospitality. And we're so grateful, therefore, to everybody who supports us, particularly, though, those who've stood with us throughout the last 3 years, and no more so at this moment, those who are friends of Matthew's House, who give us a little bit each month financially to support us, and also to our precious volunteers. But we're also grateful to the whole Swansea Together collaboration. We can do so much more together than we can apart. So we look forward to seeing you next time for another 30 Days on the High Street. And until then, we say goodbye. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to 30 Days on the High Street. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a video. Matthew's House is an initiative of the Hill Church and seeks to provide hope through the sheer power of hospitality to some of the most vulnerable, isolated and disenfranchised people in the heart of the city. To find out more or support our work, please visit www.matthewshouse.org.uk.